you touched on a very important subject and a very dear subject to me, and of course now I will phrase it as a question, and that is that you said that kids don't think for themselves, and then the practices are structured, and kids don't think for themselves ever anymore because they are either helicopter mom or tiger mom or all of these things that are happening. And however, I also believe that we can give advice to the coaches as well. That we have many coaches who are still teaching kids drills that they learned 40 years ago, and they were taught those drills by the coaches who learned it 40 years prior to that, and then 40 years prior to that for those coaches. So in essence, there are many coaches today who think that those things are still working, and they don't keep pace with the dynamics of the game, and the improvement of the speed and the strength and everything else. So I always tell the coaches, as a coaching director, that every coach needs to keep up with and refresh the exercises and the drills, and make sure that they are applicable to today's game. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's really important that coaches keep educating themselves, and I mean, you can go on YouTube or you can pick up a book or a magazine. There's a lot of places where you can find all the drills in the world to do, but it's finding your own way to do it. It's learning from other coaches, and there's a lot of education courses that you can go out there and do, whereas I don't necessarily think those are the best of the best or the worst of the worst. I think I've done a lot of those, and I think it's important for me. What I learned from that is that, a lot of it was very basic and very simple, and a lot of things that I've already seen before, but I went there and picked up things from other coaches. So I think it's important as coaches that you can't be arrogant or thick-headed and think that you know everything and that it has to be this way, and you have to be willing to change, because the game has changed a lot. The kids are different athletes nowadays. The ball is different. The rules have changed a little bit. So it's really important that the coaches educate themselves. They try to go out of their comfort zone sometimes. You can even pick up things from a basketball coach, or from another coach, of how to structure a practice or a training session or anything like that. But it is important that these coaches try to educate themselves as much as possible. Reading books, watching games. It's important, and to develop that way, it needs to be done.
Last question, and this is geared towards the parents of our club. Um, as you said in the first question, they all are aspiring towards scholarships and towards this and that. But when it's time to make a commitment to the game, that is lacking. So the perceived demands that they have on a financial assistance for their child, and in a way of scholarship in soccer or in any other sport, and the amount of the promised play and devotion does not match up. And as a last question, I would like you to give your advice to the parents on maybe how to align the two together in order for their kids to reach a certain level of playing and deserve a scholarship, which is not very easy to come by.
Right, it's very difficult, and this comes into the hours that the kids play, and the things like this, and their dedication. Everything takes work, and everything takes hard work. I coach at the club level too, and a lot of the parents think, just like a kid that thinks he should get a scholarship in college, a lot of the kids just expect playing time at the 16, 17, 18-year-old level, but they don't want to put in the hard work to do it. I think it's important that if you want to get a college scholarship athletically, you have to set yourself out from everybody else. There's a lot of schools out there. Some coaches only get a certain amount of scholarships, and you have to find a way to individualize yourself and find a way to make that coach stick out. We had a kid that played at Dominican when I played there, and he wasn't the best player at his first year or his second year, and he had aspirations like every young kid to go on to the professional level, and he put in hard work and hard work and hard work, and then 2 years after he made it to the Red Bulls. So you know, that was the tipping point for him. He wanted something, he had a goal, and he sought it. So these kids that do want athletic scholarships, yeah, it's very, very possible. To get a full ride is very, very difficult. A lot of college coaches don't give those out, so you have to be a special talent. So for these kids that are out there and these parents that invest a lot in these clubs and they put in a lot of time, you know, you have to keep at it, but you have to know that, you know, your kid has to be special, he has to stand out, and that kid has to put in a lot of hard work and deserve that. And, you know, grades are going to be a big factor, like we talked about before, whether a kid might even get an athletic scholarship or not, because you have to have certain GPA, certain SAT scores. So these things are very, very important. You know, every school is different with the way and coach, with the way they hand out their scholarships. And I just think you have to find the school that is the best fit for you. And if you don't get a scholarship maybe in your freshman year, then you can say, okay, you know, I'm going to work hard my freshman year, my sophomore year, and then maybe you'll be eligible for one after that.
Thank you. Coach Colin, thank you very much for joining us at our studios.
Thank you, sir.
And parents, please stay tuned for the next video and for our next surprise guest who will divulge more secrets and truths about collegiate soccer in the United States. Bye-bye.